I don't know about the rest of you, but for me to have a successful hunt, I don't have to shoot a deer. I just have to see deer. Just watching them relate to their natural world is just something I love to see. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely want to see the target buck that I'm after, but I don't judge the entire hunt on that. It's also one of the keys to getting a new hunter excited about hunting is just seeing deer. And on the flip side of that, you could have a die-hard hunter that never sees any deer and they could just give up on it altogether. So in this video, we're going to go over 3 tips to help you just see more deer, and hopefully that target buck will also show up this year. But before we get into these tips, do me a favor, and if this is your first time on my channel, hit that subscribe button and make sure you click the bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload a video. And the first tip to just seeing more deer is to learn what makes deer move and where. When I first started hunting, I hunted with my stepdad, and he's the one that got me excited about deer hunting because even though we only hunted together a few times in the beginning, he always put me on deer. He would just say, go climb this tree, and so I did. And I made a mistake here, and we'll talk about that a little more in a second. Then I started hunting with a buddy of mine from high school, and he was into rifle hunting. And with my stepdad, all we did was bow hunt. So rifle hunting was a new and exciting thing for me. But when I was hunting with him, seeing deer became a pretty rare occasion. And I just assumed he knew what he was talking about based on the stories he'd tell. And man, I was wrong. Then I started hunting with my father-in-law during rifle season, and just like my stepdad, he would tell me where to go, and he'd just put me on deer nonstop. And I made that mistake with my father-in-law that I made with my stepdad. I never asked them what made this a good spot. I managed to learn on my own through a few years. I just struggled until I decided I wanted to learn as much about deer movement as I possibly could. So I started watching YouTube videos, reading books, listening to podcasts, whatever information I could get my hands on, I was trying to absorb it. Now I could just talk about everything I've learned in this video, but that would be an hour-long discussion and nobody's got time for that. Instead, I've covered a lot of this stuff in previous videos, so go watch those, but don't just get your information from me. Get your information from as many different sources as you can. Different people have different ways of explaining things and have different experiences, and it might help you more than just getting it from one viewpoint. And don't be like me, like I was in the beginning of my hunting career. If you have a mentor and they are putting you on deer, ask them why this spot is a good spot. Learn as much as you can. And it not only will help you see more deer more often, but it'll make you a better hunter altogether. And it's also going to help you sort out who's a good hunting mentor and who's not. And the second tip to seeing more deer is you absolutely have to be adaptable. This problem, I think, happens a little more often on private land because on public land, you just have to be adaptable by default. You never really know where somebody else is going to be hunting until you get there. So you have to change your hunting plan. But on private land, you tend to just put up your stands and then you just hunt them forever and wonder why you never see anything. If you're not seeing deer somewhat consistently in a particular spot, go hunt somewhere else. Take notes while you're in the stands so you can identify what stands are particularly productive and which ones aren't. If you don't really know where to hang a stand, hopefully you've learned what makes a good hunting spot, and then just go sit on the ground somewhere. When the food sources change, go identify those new food sources. When the rut hits, go find those bedding areas. The point is you have to adapt to the different times of the season, what's going on at that particular portion. And you are going to go find the deer. You're not just going to sit there in a stand and just hope some deer randomly walks by. And the third tip to seeing more deer is you have to understand how your scent carries across the landscape. I know there are tons of products out there that are designed to make you scent-free or marketed to fool a deer's nose. However, I don't think you should rely on these things. I know ozone and things like ozonics, I know that stuff does eliminate scent. However, that stuff should be viewed as a just-in-case type of thing, just in case the wind shifts in a not so beneficial direction. But if you understand how your scent will travel across the landscape, you can predict where your scent most likely will travel. And this is especially important when it comes to things like thermals. If the wind is not strong enough, or if you're in a thick closed canopy forest situation, the thermals can trump wind direction. As the air heats up, your scent will rise, whether that's up the hill or up and over a valley. And as the air cools, your scent will sink down into lower areas. Now, where this can get you into trouble is let's say you're in an area where the wind direction is supposed to be in your favor, but the wind is either too light or it's thick, close canopy forest that the wind just doesn't really penetrate through. That thermal action can screw you. Think about hunting at the top of a ridge looking down the hillside. So let's say the wind is pretty light, it's an afternoon hunt, and as the sun starts to go down, the air temperature drops, and your scent is going to be sucked down that hill, down into that valley where you're watching. So where you thought you had the advantage, you really don't. So if you understand how thermals work and how that relates to your scent control, you would know you need to save that hunt for either a morning when the thermals are going to rise and help push your scent away from that hillside, or you would hunt it in an afternoon when you have consistent winds over something like 5 miles per hour, somewhere where it's higher and consistent enough that it could beat that thermal action. So that was 3 tips to seeing more deer while you're hunting. And if you have any more tips other than putting out a pile of corn, leave those down in the comments below. Hit that like button if you liked this video, share it if you found it helpful, and make sure that you are subscribed so you can stay informed.